Good afternoon, everybody. If you haven't already, let's go ahead and take our seats. You're going to need a pen, and hopefully your mortgage professional or the title company that's hosting you today or the builder's development that you're at, or if you're watching at home, maybe you're at the gym, I don't know. But you're going to need the answer sheet. If you don't have it, you can use a blank piece of paper. This is the National Lunch and Learn League, sponsored by Annie Mac Home Mortgage. I want to welcome all of my Annie Mac Home Mortgage professionals from across the country to this very special National Lunch and Learn League event. I especially want to say thank you to our real estate referral partners who have survived, and some of them have thrived through the pandemic. But I want to tell you a personal story. Just before March of 2020, we were having as many as 600 real estate offices log in to our National Lunch and Learn League events across the country. What a pleasure and a privilege it had been for us to get together with our real estate referral partners and break bread and share best practices from our elite real estate professionals across the country. Simply stated, what we decided is if we could help our realtor partners be more professional, be more productive, and ultimately make more money, that Annie Mac Home Mortgage might become very relevant to our residential real estate referral partners across the country. But when the pandemic hit, the NL2 events really did take a big hit. So this was our big splash to come in with a big National Lunch and Learn League event for all of you after almost 18 or 20 months of shutdown. We want to thank you for paying attention to this, but I'll tell you a quick one. This is not a green screen. We shot green screen over the last few days, spent 8 to 10 hours in an editing booth, putting a package together that I thought we'd be just really proud of, how modern and how advanced the words were flipping around in the screen. But when I saw it at the end, I actually watched the final cut last night and I said, no, I'm not going to be a part of that. I didn't like it. It didn't feel like there was any personal connection or truth. And I think that anything that drives Annie Mac Home Mortgage's platform and anything that drives our relationship to our realtor referral partners is authenticity, transparency, and a sense of optimism. Whether the technology is flipping around or not, this message is vital. This is an important message. So for about 15 years, I ran a real estate brokerage. I recruited over 1,200 people into that real estate brokerage, 1,200 real estate licenses. And I was a real estate agent before that for 15 years as well. So I've got 35 years of working in this residential real estate industry. And when I tell you that Floyd Wickman changed the quality of life for my children, I'm not exaggerating. You know, guys like Mike Ferry and Brian Buffini and Tom Hopkins way back in the day and Walter Sanford and certainly Floyd Wickman, they ultimately changed the quality of the vacations that I was able to take with my family. They certainly changed the colleges that I could afford to send my children to. Floyd Wickman personally changed everything about my real estate career and the income that I was able to produce from it. So it's that inspiration that brings us to Annie Mac Works. It's that inspiration that allows us to dig into relationships with multi-million-dollar a year earners, a $40 million earner, a $40 million producer, a $60 million producer, and really sit down with them and interview them in a new series that we call Real Estate Rockstars and present that information back to you. We've got over 80 training modules with 17 different instructor teams, and now we're bringing in these elite realtors from across the country to speak directly to you, to share with you exactly what they're doing different in their local markets. Today, we're going to introduce you to the real real estate exam. What? I took that real estate exam back in 1986, and it didn't teach me anything about how to sell real estate. It taught me some math, it taught me some core values, taught me some core law, it taught me some ethics, but it didn't teach me how to earn any revenue in residential real estate, did it? So as a broker owner and a team leader, I used to try to figure out what was the difference between the people that were going to be successful in residential real estate versus the difference between the people who were going to struggle. And I decided that I was going to disc personality profile every single one of my realtors. And at the time, I had 540 realtors that worked for me. So I said, let's all do disc personality profile assessments. And I'm going to find the correlation between the DISC personality profile assessment and the people that are successful in real estate. You know what I found out? No conclusive evidence at all that the D's were more successful or the I's were more successful or the S's were more successful. In fact, it even proved more frustrating that the DISC personality profile assessment didn't correlate with the production in my organization. So I went to Myers-Briggs and I went to different assessment tests, and I really started to give my realtors examinations before they could come to work for me. I know it sounds strange, but we had a waiting list of dozens and dozens of realtors that wanted to join our office every month, but we didn't want them to join our office because we wanted to just cherry pick out the really productive, committed people. So, funny story, I gave an IQ test. I went to a standardized IQ test, and I said, there's got to be a correlation between IQ and success in residential real estate. And I found that some of my elite producers, $600,000, $800,000, $900,000 a year, were scoring like 112, 118, 122 on their IQ tests, where some of my lower producers honestly couldn't make $60,000 a year in real estate. We're scoring 138, 142, unbelievably high IQ scores, but no correlation between that IQ, that DISC personality profile assessment, or their success in real estate. So it left me kind of frustrated, honestly. I didn't have a litmus test to give a young realtor to find out whether or not they were going to be successful or not. So about 12 years ago, I changed my mind and I said, there's got to be a real estate exam that you can give to a realtor to find out if they're going to be making any money or not, so that I could invest my time and energy in the people that were committed and sincere and career oriented and proud of their career. You know what I mean by that? Really, really proud to be a realtor, really proud to help people buy and sell residential real estate, proud of the negotiating that they do, and proud of the customer service and the bedside manner that they provide when those emotional and egomaniacal challenges are faced in a residential real estate transaction. So I came up with the real estate exam. And your mortgage professional today, or if you're being hosted today at a builder's development, we do a program called Builders Works across the country now, where we bring the trainings into the builder's development. So you might be sitting in a builder's model row today, or you could be at home or at the gym watching Annie Mac Works on Demand. Either way, I want you to know we have 80 different training modules for you. We have almost 20 different trainers, training teams that come in and provide value if we can. And recently, we launched a program that I'm so excited about called Real Estate Rockstars, where we go out and we cherry pick someone who's selling $30 million or more in real estate. We picked 30 million because that's close to $1 million a year in income. We said if somebody's making 850 plus in commission dollars, we want to hear what they're doing that's different than what maybe our real estate referral partners are doing, and see if we can bring some of those best practices back to you. So if you get a chance, go to anniemacworks.com, go to our on-demand library, check out the Real Estate Rockstars series. It might be something relevant for you. We're going to jump right in to the real estate exam. Your mortgage professional, your builder, your title company, whoever's hosting you today has given you a sheet. It's the answer sheet, the exam sheet. It's all blank because you're not going to have the answers until we go through this. But there's one person in the building today that has the answer sheet, and afterwards they can share with you, recapture some of the conversations that we had and talk about them. So there's an available 100 points in the real estate exam. And I'm I hope to goodness that you don't end up mad at me. I don't want this to frustrate you or create more anxiety in your day. My hope is that these examples in the real estate exam, the real real estate exam, will serve as a direction, a structure, an accountability for you. So being 100 points, let's say 70 points or better, is probably means you're already earning over $100,000 a year. I could feel pretty confident saying that. If you want to prove me wrong, give me a call at 1-800-299-WORKS. Send me an email, russ@animacworks.com. I would like to hear from individual realtors about their difference of opinion. And if you can make $150,000 a year, $200,000 a year in residential real estate without passing this exam. I don't know. Maybe I don't consider it an infallible resource. I just hope that it will inspire you in some way to adjust what you're doing to enhance your professionalism, ultimately enhance your production and certainly your income. That's the intention of AnnieMac Home Mortgage's AnnieMac Works program. And I want to say one last time, our success truly is measured by your success. We'll invest in you. We'll help you take listings. We'll help you farm. We'll put you through coaching programs. We'll invest in your residential real estate career, because the better you succeed in residential real estate, the better we're going to succeed as a mortgage partner in your day-to-day activity. So before we start the 100-point test, I'm going off script and off the exam to say this. I'm going to give you 20 bonus points if you answer this question positively. I took my son to the Florida State University football camp when he was a quarterback in high school. And a guy named Jimbo Fisher turns out to be the second highest paid coach in the NCAA, second only to Nick Saban at Alabama. He coaches at Texas A&M University now, and he was a Florida State head coach back then. And when I brought my son there, I was kind of curious what kind of leadership lessons they would give to those young quarterbacks. You know what they said that really stuck out to me, and I've used it in the last 10 years since then? They said that boys do what they want to do, but men do what they gotta do. It's a simple little kind of aw shucks Southern term. Old Jimbo Fisher, kind of like Bobby Bowden, kind of aw shucks. He said, you know the difference? Boys do what they want to do. Men do what they gotta do. And I was taken by that, because top realtors do what they gotta do. They don't do what they want to do. You know what I mean by that? So the 20-point bonus question before we get into the exam paperwork is, are you ritualistic by nature? Successful people are ritualistic by nature. So they time block appointments for themselves, and they hold themselves accountable that every Monday morning between 10 and noon, I do this one thing, not because I want to do it, but because I got to do it. So coincidentally, I was talking to a $37 million producer from Berks County, Pennsylvania, a beautiful woman named Kelly Spade, who runs $1 million a year in commission income. She was my first real estate Rockstars. We had some hiccups with technology. It was awkward. The back screen on the real estate Rockstars green screen didn't look right. But Kelly was so gracious and so giving and so generous. She shared with us how stern she was with her time. She suggested that if you were to be stern with your time and to commit to blocking certain times in your week for certain income producing activities, that one thing would catapult your production, your professionalism, and your income, because you would start to say to yourself, I respect my career enough to commit, even when I don't want to do something, I gotta do it, right? So top realtors do what they gotta do. They don't do what they want to do. So being ritualistic by nature and time blocking could sound like this. Every Sunday from noon to 4, I do an open house, regardless regardless if I have listings, regardless if I have to sit in a model row, regardless if I have to go to a HUD.gov, I'm sitting in open house every single Sunday, 50 Sundays a year or 45 Sundays a year, whatever it is you commit to. Could be a Saturday. It could be time blocking to call the expired listings. Every night between 7 and 8 p.m., I call the expired listings from the day before, or every morning at 9 a.m. I do. I call at least 5 by owners a week. I hate doing it. I can't stand it, but I don't do what I want to do. I do what I got to do, right? Those time blocking rituals that are done weekly are the building blocks of your mansion. I mean it. You lay one brick, it's not much. But when you consistently lay those bricks over time, those time blocking bricks and the mortar start to build a beautiful wall, and then the walls surround you, and then at the end of your year or decade, you have a mansion. That's how time blocking rituals work. So give yourself 20 bonus points, not on the test exam, if you're the kind of person that's ritualistic by nature and time blocks income producing activities that you don't necessarily want to do, but you know you got to do. If you want a list of income producing opportunities, reach out to me at russ@anniemacworks.com or call 1-800-299-WORKS. We'll give you a whole list of ideas from some of our other coaching programs that you can get into and start time blocking ritualistically and adding some income producing opportunities that you don't waver on. You do what you got to do instead of what you want to do. So back to the test. There's 100 points available, and you're going to see that certain answers are weighted higher than other answers. So let's get started with the first line on your exam answer sheet. I want you to write the word sphere, S-P-H-E-R-E, sphere, not the old Florida State Seminoles spear, but sphere of influence. If you have a database that's in your possession that you could put your fingers on in the next few minutes that was able to cast your 300 to 500 dream clients, your friends and family, the people that might like you, the people that might trust you, that might respect you, people that you used to work with at another job, people that you went to college with, fraternity brothers, sorority sisters, young Republicans, Democratic National Convention, wherever your affinities lie, right? Wherever your religious convictions lie, wherever your hobbies take you, you have a sphere of people who may know you, may like you, and may trust you. If you have a database like that, and I'm not talking about the leads database that's in your Boomtown account, I'm not talking about the leads database in your Sync account or in your top producer account, I'm talking about your personal manifestation of your time here on earth and how many people know you, like you, and trust you, or how many people at least could recognize you by face and name that you could build that likability and trust with over time. That's called your sphere of influence database. And I would give you 10 points if you can put your fingers on that database this morning in quick order. And you need to have it in a form that's not in your company's CRM, it's in your possession at all times. So now we're going to drop down to 1A and suggest that if you have a sphere of influence database and you manage that sphere of influence database, we're going to give you an extra 5 points if you're proactive marketing to that sphere of influence database. So the first bonus question worth 5 points is, do you drip email campaign through like a MailChimp or a top producer account? When I think of my sphere of influence database, I think of the coaches at my daughter's cheerleading squad. I think of the teachers that my children met along their journey through academia. I think of the gentleman that cuts my hair or the restaurants that I frequent. I think of the owners of those restaurants and how my residential real estate career could impact their lives. And I sought to build 300 to 500 individuals in that database so that all of those interpersonal relationships that I could work towards marketing myself as a residential real estate professional to them in hopes that they would like me, in hopes that they might build trust with me as a real estate professional, and finally, that they might respect that I've made a full-time, career-oriented commitment to the residential real estate profession. So the last analogy that I like to use for you building your sphere of influence database is if you were walking down Main Street in Disney World in Orlando, Kissimmee, Florida on a Wednesday in hopefully in the fall because it's so darn hot down there in the summer. But if you were able to walk down Main Street in Disney World and you were to recognize an individual by face and name from across the street, so much so that you'd say, hey, there's Bob from, he runs the restaurant on the corner, or there's Sally, she runs that salon in town. If you recognize them by face and name, they need to be in your database, right? So we're going to go on to 4 bonus questions relative to your sphere of influence database. You've already given yourself 10 big points for having a sphere of influence database. And unfortunately, you don't get any points if you don't manage a sphere of influence database to market yourself to, do you? But do you use a new technology in social media that allows you to load your database into social media? See, this is legit on the front porch. Do you load your database into social media and then target inexpensive ads and posts just to that database? Do you use targeting on social media to be proactive with your database? That's called targeting your database, right? That's 5 additional points. If you're not doing that, you don't get the 5 points and you don't get the credibility that comes from it. Automated email campaigns through MailChimp or Top Producer or some other CRM where your target database, your friends and family, are receiving emails from you maybe once or twice a week that are real estate relevant, market relevant, interest rate relevant. Maybe partner with your Annie Mac loan officer to come up with a series of emails about renovation lending products and low down payment products and low interest rate opportunities right now. And use the affordability index to show your friends and family how buying a $500,000 house today is cheaper than buying a $500,000 house just a year or two ago because interest rates are low. And that affordability index based on the mortgage interest rates alone is making these expensive purchase prices affordable to own. So if you use an automated email drip campaign to proactively market to your sphere of influence, then give yourself an additional 5 points. That's 20 available points just on sphere of influence. Let's go to text messaging opportunities like SMS Magic or Twilio. If you're currently using a Twilio or an SMS Magic product to proactively market yourself, maybe it's a weekly text, maybe it's a bi-weekly text, you've got to trust your gut on that. I can tell you what we do, but it might be overkill for you, right? To touch my product, my prospects once a week. Oh, is that too much? I don't know. Maybe I'm annoying. Maybe I'm effective. Maybe I sell 160, 180 homes a year. I don't know. But touching my clientele with valuable value-add information via text at least once a week for me is 5 bonus points. And then, do you still use snail mail? Do you still use direct mail? I'm going to give you an additional 5 points, not because the antiquated process of using direct mail is important, but the unique opportunity to interact with your sphere of influence database differently. We use a blue pen and we handwrite their address and our return address on that envelope. We use an actual stamp and we mail out to them on their birthdays and their anniversaries and on holidays. And we send a little note thanking them for referrals. And we might include a Dunkin' Donuts gift card or some special gesture to our clients to thank them for referring us to someone in there. So there's 30 points, guys, in the real estate exam. And if I were interviewing you to come to work in my brokerage, the thing I might say is, hey, how you been doing in real estate? Get to talking a little bit about it. I would say, well, tell me a little bit about yourself. Do you have a sphere of influence database? And if you didn't have a sphere of influence database and you weren't marketing to that sphere of influence, you're missing the number one source of business for every realtor in America. 1.3 million, 1.6 million realtors in America. Their number one resource is their own personal sphere of influence. So give yourself 30 points if you answered yes to all of those questions in that sector. We went through time blocking as a bonus question. We went through sphere of influence as the first question on the real estate exam. The second question I have for you, I want to dedicate this part to a guy named Stephen Michaud. He's an intern at my call center down in Southeast Florida in Fort Lauderdale. We take in 5,000 leads a month in Fort Lauderdale. We nurture those leads to a point of pre-qualification with Annie Mac Home Mortgage, and then we refer them out to our realtor partners. The interesting thing about that is learning how effective lead conversion scripts and dialogue can be. So the question I'm going to ask you is, do you use a formal lead conversion process? Lead conversion process. That's scripts, dialogue, objection handling techniques, value add propositions. Or do you wing it? Excuse me. Do you wing it when a buyer calls you? Do you wing it when a seller asks you, what's your commission? How long is your listing period? How long do you take listings for? Where do you advertise my home? Do you use drone aerial photography? If you're having thought-provoking objections or questions, you need to be prepared with some scripts and some dialogue and some objection handling techniques, and most importantly, value add propositions. So do you use a formal lead conversion script? Give yourself 10 points if you use a formal lead conversion script, objection handling techniques, value add propositions. We call them bump to opportunities. And then give yourself 5 extra points on the next line, 2A. Do you speak voice to voice with at least 66% of the leads that come into you? Seller call, sign call, a Google pay-per-click ad, a landing page that you manage on your social media. When you post your MyWork Suite digital marketing clickbait that we give to you for free. When you use the MyWork Suite automation on social media and a lead comes in, we get tens of thousands of leads each year through MyWork Suite. And we wonder, do you call them? Do you rely on text and email and automatic property reminders, or do you get voice-to-voice contact? Voice-to-voice contact is the magic of the residential real estate business. Voice-to-voice contact is the first metric of all lead conversion. So if you're not getting 66% of your leads on the phone, you can't get this 5 points. That's the metric. We run at about 71%. We set 66% as the metric. 5 bonus points if you get voice-to-voice contact with at least 66% of your leads. Do 34% of your leads have meaningful dialogue? This is the metric. I've studied with Zillow. I've studied with OpCity. I've studied with Redfin. I've studied with every major residential real estate agent in the country. 34% voice-to-voice meaningful dialogue. Got past the mumbo jumbo, started digging into some transparency, some vulnerability with the client, started to understand what their wants and needs are, started to do a wants and needs analysis, really find their hidden wants and needs and desires that they're not telling every other realtor. Maybe they need to disclose to you about an upcoming divorce. Maybe they need to disclose to you about a job transfer. Maybe they're reluctant to disclose to you that their credit score is a little below and they're eager to get it up. But when they start to become vulnerable with you and they start to become transparent, it's because they're starting to kind of trust you on the phone. So that meaningful dialogue happens with about 34% of any leads that come into my organization. And that's a 5-point bonus, because if you're having meaningful dialogue with 3 or 4 out of every 10 leads that come into your shop, boy howdy, you're cooking with gas. Now here's one that might surprise you. 22% of all your leads should have a pre-qualification with your Annie Mac Home Mortgage loan partner. 22%. So of the 34%, a third of them are throwaways. They're not going to buy a house. They're not ready to buy a house. They're not thinking about buying a house. They're certainly not doing what they have to do to buy a house, especially in this market, right? But at least 2/3 of those leads that I'm having meaningful dialogue with, the end result is, let me tell you the most important thing you need to do today. You need to talk with Bob at Annie Mac Home Mortgage here in Virginia Beach. If you talk to Bob here at Annie Mac Home Mortgage in Virginia Beach, you're going to find out that debt to income matters, right? Your debt to income ratio. You're going to find out how affordable the mortgage payment's going to be on your next house because interest rates are so low. If you'll talk to Bob at Annie Mac Home Mortgage here in Virginia Beach, you're going to find out that your credit score is not the only indicator of your purchasing power. That in fact, it's a list of the liabilities that are hidden on your credit report that are going to affect whether we can lend you a maximum purchase price or if we have to reduce that purchase price a little bit because you have too many liabilities. At the end of the day, my relationship to my mortgage banker is exactly like that old WWF or WWE wrestling tag team event, right? I go in and wrestle with the client for 34% of my clients in a conversation called a wants and needs analysis. And then I tag out and send my Annie Mac mortgage professional in, and they talk about PITI, down payment, closing costs, moving expenses. Do a relocation analysis that breaks down the principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and mortgage insurance of that mortgage. So the client knows I'm paying $1,384 a month for a house if I buy it for this much. And when they know that, their enthusiasm goes through the roof to go ahead and make a purchase. So it's the most effective way. And I've believed my whole life that there's a quantifiable best way to do everything. That inherent belief that there's a quantifiable best way to do everything has led us to 66, 34, 22. That's the winning combination in leads. So give yourself 5 bonus points if 22% of all of your leads, sellers and buyers, every single seller that I ever interview with has to go get pre-qualified with a mortgage professional because I want them to know what their purchasing power is, because if I don't do that at the onset of the relationship, their motivation to sell is lower. If I'm able to get them excited about where they're going and excited about their mortgage payment, excited about their purchasing power, where they're heading, that's the difference between taking that listing at the right price and taking that listing at a let's list it and see what happens price, right? So 22% of all leads get pre-qualified by a mortgage professional. That's an additional 5 points. Now, just for interest, that's 10 points for having lead scripts. 5 bonus points if you're above 66% voice to voice. 34% wants and needs analysis would be an additional 5 points. I hope you're following along. 22% of my leads get pre-qualified by a mortgage professional, and I can prove it because they pull credit. 22% of my prospects have their credit pulled on the first call. That's 5 additional bonus points. And last but not least, do at least 14% of all of the leads that come into my organization end up shopping for a home or having me over to their home for a listing appointment. If 14% of my leads bring me to an appointment, then I'm going to give you an additional 5 basis points. Now, everybody else has different metrics, and I'm not claiming this is infallible, but it ends up to be about a 6 or a 7% close ratio for us, and we're very proud of that. We're getting bugged out. But you've already had an opportunity to have as many as 60 points from 2 heavily weighted issues on our real estate exam. And I just want to share with you, if you got those 60 points, you could probably teach this class, couldn't you? But if you didn't get those 60 points, there might be some opportunities for improvement, and there might be some ways that you could learn from some of the better residential real estate professionals across the country, how you can enhance your lead conversion skills and how you can enhance your sphere of influence proactive marketing. 10-point question: do you have an area of specialization of any kind? Do you specialize in a subdivision? Do you specialize in equestrian properties? Do you specialize in tennis club homes? Do you specialize in golf course communities? Do you specialize in law enforcement appreciation or VA veteran lending? Do you specialize in working with teachers? Or do you specialize in a subdivision? Okay. One of the finest training events I've seen in my career is called Farming Fridays. It's hosted by Carrie Fitzpatrick, my wife and the co-founder of Annie Mac Works. And during it, she breaks down the fact that riches are in fact in the niches. So if you don't have an area of specialization that you're in love with, that you take a pride in ownership with, That area of specialization with teachers or firefighters or cops, or if there's an area of specialization with equestrian or tennis or golf, if there's an area of specialization with multifamily homes, or a particular subdivision that you're farming, give yourself 10 points. If you're not farming, go to AnnieMacWorks.com and dig into Farming Fridays and just learn a little bit more about it. Here's an ethereal concept that I hope won't escape you during this real estate exam. Do you have a defined personal brand? Let's put that on number 4. A defined personal brand. Well, if you look at Kelly Spade up in Berks County, if you look at Mark Spain in Atlanta, if you look at Lori Finkelstein-Reeder down in Plantation, Florida, if you look at Rob Sells New Jersey up Dzansky up in Remax up in New Jersey, you find that they have a defined personal brand. And they spend about $100,000 a month on billboards, don't they? Well, we all can't afford, or we all can't justify 35 billboards in Atlanta that say my name with a defined personal brand. Their personal brand, all 4 that I mentioned, I believe, is a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's their personal brand. They all use the same philosophy, except Rob. I don't believe Rob does that, but a guaranteed offer on your property today. Well, let's dumb it down just a little bit and simplify your defined personal brand. Do you change your phone number every couple of years? Bad news. Do you change your domain name every couple of years? Bad news. Do you change your brokerage every couple of years? Bad news. How can you have a defined personal brand if you're changing your phone number, your domain name, your email address, and your brokerage? Don't jump from brokerage to brokerage to brokerage, and don't change your email addresses, and don't change your phone numbers, and don't change your websites. That's the first step of having a defined personal brand. And then maybe you augment the proposition of value that your personal brand brings to the table by saying, I've gone through staging education. I'm a certified staging executive that happens to be in the real estate business. And that starts to layer value into your personal brand. Maybe you are a pet-friendly real estate agent and you understand ESA law and pet discrimination law. Maybe you understand how to navigate VA purchasing better than most, and you are specializing and proud of that in your brand. Whatever your conviction is about residential real estate, that starts to build and layer your personal brand. So if you have, in your opinion, a defined personal brand, some defined area of expertise, some additional value proposition, or even some imaging that makes you proud of your personal brand, give yourself 10 points. If you don't have a defined personal brand, we're not going to be able to give you those 10 points. But we're going to go into 2 last questions. We are at 90 points already, plus the 20 bonus points for time blocking. Could I ask you real quick? Question number 6. Do you do any institutional advertising? Or is all of your advertising lead generation advertising? Or do you do no advertising at all? Institutional advertising means that you took out an ad at the high school baseball park that hangs on the home run wall, and it says, hit one here, Sarah from Coldwell Banker, right? That's called institutional advertising. It probably isn't going to produce a lead every time the baseball game happens, but it's going to enhance the muscle memory of your clients, right? Institutional advertising gives you an opportunity to have a bus bench outside of the subdivision that you farm. I dedicated this to Stephen Michaud because he's a young intern. I think he's about 25 years old. He's worked for me for the past 18 months as a lead conversion specialist, learning our scripts. And I've gone through this residential real estate exam with him. And I said, you've got to start to look at your personal brand, and you've got to start to grow your institutional presence, not just your lead generation advertising. So if you have any institutional advertising at all, whether it's a bus bench, branding on the side of your car, maybe you have special placement at the grocery store on the shopping carts or bus benches or something like that. If you're doing any type of institutional advertising in your real estate career, give yourself an additional 5 points. And the last question, number 7, is a word that might be foreign to many of you. It will become very common in our industry over the next several years. It's called predictive data analytics. Predictive data analytics. If you use any type of predictive data analytics in your residential real estate business, I want you to give yourself an additional 5 points. And I want to explain what it is. Predictive data analytics allows you to load those 300 sphere of influence people in your database and load them into a software. And then that software will monitor, it's kind of scary, isn't it? Will monitor their online behavior. You can use a company called Offers. You can use a company called The Secret Weapon. You can use a company called Real Estate IQ or a couple of others. I'll get you a list if you want it. Just reach out to us, 1-800-299-WORKS. Give us a call, AnnieMacWorks.com, or email me, russ@AnnieMacWorks.com. In any case, I want to give you an experiment so you can validate how effective predictive data analytics is in your real estate career. So you're going to load those customers into the predictive data analytics software, and then that software is going to score your customers based on their online behavior. It's going to tell you whether they're up all night on mortgage calculators or if they're shopping for residential real estate somewhere in the country. Your predictive data analytics service provider could tell you how often your prospects are searching for real estate online. And then they spit out a score. And if the score is above 90, man, all you got to do is pick up the phone and say, "Hi, Barry, it's Russ Fitzpatrick from Remax Partners. I'm just calling you to check in on you this year, see how things have been going." And they say, "Well, it's funny you called. I'm actually thinking about making a move to Colorado this year. Going to be selling our house here in Florida and moving to Colorado. Oh my God, what a coincidence. I can't believe I called you." And it happens exactly like that. Now, predictive data analytics is not a lead generation tool. We tried it for that, and it doesn't work. But what does work is loading your personal sphere of influence database and your farm area into your predictive data analytics service provider, like Offers or The Secret Weapon, and going ahead and saying, okay, of the 700 homeowners in this haystack, how many of them are metal? Where's the needle? And the scoring system finds the needle in the haystack. So if you're using any type of predictive data analytics in your real estate business today, give yourself an additional 5 points. And I'm going to go out on a limb right now. I'm going to bet you a good steak dinner in your hometown. I could travel. Trust me, I'll take you out to dinner if you're one of them. I want to hear from you. Russ@AnnieMacWorks.com. Dial me up, 1-800-299-WORKS. If you scored above a 70% on this exam, you're already making $150,000 to $200,000 a year, aren't you? If you scored a 30 or a 40 or below on this real estate exam, I'll bet you that income is a little challenging unless you're just a lead lizard and you're just cleaning leads all day, every day. And that's all you do as a profession is pay for leads. But paying for leads isn't the way to riches in residential real estate. Top producers do what they gotta do. Low producers do what they wanna do. If you pass the residential real estate exam, the real real estate exam with more than 70 points, I want to congratulate you because you're probably already earning a couple $100,000 a year in residential real estate. If you're struggling or you're eager to grow your production, go to AnnieMacWorks.com or reach out to us at 1-800-299-WORKS and see how we at Annie Mac Home Mortgage, a $5 billion mortgage company, is willing to invest in your career in a really important way. And last but not least, I'd like to thank the mortgage professionals who put this National Lunch and Learn League together with all those offices across the country. We're probably not hitting 600 residential real estate offices again like we were back pre-COVID, but I'm really sincere and I'm really earnest when I say that our success is in fact measured by yours. So go out there and get them and take the information that you gleaned today off the Real Real Estate Exam and apply it in your local markets to increase your professionalism, your production, and ultimately your income. Thanks very much.